Hi, my name is Jeannie, and this is my podcast, Bisaya in America. So, the topic for today is politics not included. So, I remember sometime in 2015, 2016, America was going through a revolution in terms of it was one of the most contentious elections ever, and it was really a start of something new and something different, but not in a good way. I remember around that time I was working in Manhattan, and one of my clients told me about a guy named Bernie Sanders, and I'm like, I don't know the guy. And she told me about oh, he's starting a revolution. It's about the holding the rest of the top 1% and the pharmaceutical companies and the corporations accountable for what they're doing to America. And that sort of led me to read up more about him and to find out more about him. And I realized that, listening to him, he really did make sense. And at that time, Hillary was in trouble. She wasn't as popular, and she was really being ruined by negative publicity, and she was actually targeted by fake news as well. And what really it was just a perfect storm, basically, when the FBI under James Comey was trying to revealed that they were looking into her emails. That was one of the things that really reduced her following. And also, the Democratic Party was already divided because there was the Bernie side, which was, revolution, let's change America, let's change how the establishment works. And then there was Hillary Clinton, plus being targeted by fake media and just really being targeted in general with really negative news, and her image was really just at that time it wasn't good, and nothing really helped her. And anyway, I remember at that time, so Bernie was really popular, but the thing is the Democratic Party didn't really side with him. They thought that he was too divisive and that he wasn't the best person to be the representative of the Democratic Party. Whether this was fair or not, some people are saying it was unfair. So what happened was Hillary became the nominee, and because she was not as popular as Bernie, and she was establishment plus the micro target, not micro, but really targeting. She was being targeted by fake news and internet trolls, and it was really bad at that time, really, really bad. And plus, Trump was his message. He actually took the Bernie, some people from the Bernie train, the people that hated establishment, that hated, traditional politicians, and he just used his talking points, basically, just grabbed it and then vilified Hillary, and then he won by a really, really slim margin. And in fact, Hillary still did win the popular vote by I think the latest that I heard was around 3 million votes, and that's a lot of votes. And she lost in districts by just a margin of thousands of votes. It was razor thin, but it was the perfect storm, and it was bad timing. Everything just came into place. And plus, of course, being targeted, which is really important too, being targeted by fake news and the trolls, which they later found out was from a different country. So let's not name that country, but there's a certain country that interfered with the elections, and there's actually proof as well that they helped the other side. Let's just not mention the other side as well. So yeah, and since then America has not been the same again. It literally, I come from a third world country, and it literally has the qualities, the politics right now in America has the qualities of a third world country type of politics. You know, politicians mudslinging, not getting along, playing dirty, and that's it. Like, it's Trump changed all of that. The things that were not acceptable before, that was not the norm before, is now the norm. And by that I mean that people are talking openly about politics. In one example, let's not mention the state that I'm living right now. If you listen to my other podcasts, you will find that out through deductive reasoning, but let's not mention states, because it's very divisive. It may or may not have something to do with the state I'm living in right now, or it could have everything to do with it. Who knows? But that's not my point. Anyway, so I was at a work meeting. This is a work meeting, guys. And, work meeting, you have to be professional. Don't discuss anything, that's not related to work. But then two coworkers mentioned politics in the same breath as like, yeah, well, let's talk about our clients. And then, boom, yeah, we'll also talk about politics. And this was really surprising to me, because it's, for me, you do not cross that line. That's not a line that needs to be crossed, but that line was crossed. And it was pretty clear which side they're on, because it was like, oh, those damn Democrats did this. And I'm like, dude, are we really discussing this at a work meeting? And I was just so surprised. My mind was just blown out of my skull cap or whatever. It was just like, whoa, is this really happening right now? This is not normal. You do not talk politics in a work setting during a work meeting. And I was like, are they just letting that slide? That's just not acceptable to me. And I was just like, oh, okay, this really happened. And the thing is, you can talk to other people, one-on-one, oh, this is my politics, with a coworker that you're familiar with and that you're comfortable talking politics with, and with their consent. You just don't say boom, I'm going to talk politics at a work meeting. I'm like, dude, that's not with my consent, dude. Let's not talk about that. Let's not go there. And blaming the other side too, the other party. And I was like, dude, there's only two parties here, which makes it even worse. It's either that guy's fault or that guy's fault, right? So, but yeah, and I realized that, when I was working and living in the New York area, so I had a coworker, and this was during the time of Trump, and he's black, and we were pretty close. We talked about each other's family and stuff. He was very chatty. But the thing I noticed is that, so we're in New York, right? But it's in the outskirts of the city. It's not really, within New York City itself. And so he's this black guy, and he's whispering to me, and he's like, come here. And I'm like, yeah, what? He's like, did you know that our director is a Trump supporter? I'm like, no. And he was whispering, he said, oh my God, that's so insane. Why are they supporting the guy? And the reason why he was concerned is because the Trump rhetoric is let's get rid of those damn immigrants, and yeah, and of course he's black, and I think he had I think his mom was an immigrant, but yeah, he was born in America, but his parents were not, one of his parents was not American originally. So anyway, he said, I can't believe it. Why are they supporting the other dude? And it's really crazy. And I did notice though that, I became close to most, if not, those that were with it, my clients that were still with it. I was pretty close to them. And then they would start saying like, oh my God, why is this happening? This guy is so awful. Like that guy, oh, I mentioned his name anyway. Let's not mention his name again. That guy, that politician, it starts with a T. He's awful. He's talking about stuff, like unacceptable stuff. Like, that we're great. Americans are great. Let's get rid of the immigrants. The Mexicans are bad. And then, let's get rid of like other people in this country, and then let's just focus on us, the people with lighter color skin, and like, those that are of European descent. We are like great. So basically, that was his message, and some of my clients were just concerned, and I did notice that most of them that were more concerned were the African Americans. They were like, oh dude, this guy's crazy, why are people voting for him? He's like, we all know that he's like, conning people, and he's like not a good businessman and stuff like that. And those, by the way, are true and can be verified. Everywhere you look, he was not a good businessman, dude. Yeah. And then he was bankrupted a few times, 4 or 6 times, I don't know. 6 is the max. And yeah, but the thing is, and coming from someone that is not originally from America, I see things at a different like perspective or lens, because I literally went through this in my own country, where there's politicians that are just like blaming the other side, mudslinging, dirty politics. And also, we did go through a dictatorship, like, hello, and those are the telltale signs of dictatorships, like, we're great, the other side is evil, and then like, yeah, only I have the solution. And it really has the hallmarks of that, dictatorship and stuff. And it's so strange. Like, I'm like, dude, this is America, but why are people falling for this trap? This guy is obviously using, talking points that are pretty crazy and should have no room in this day and age, where people are, just want to make a living and just, want to have like rights like everybody else. But he's saying like basically is that this certain demographic of people are more superior and we have more right than anyone else in America, and then the rest of the people that happen to be immigrants and like darker colored skin, yeah, we can kick them out. So basically that's the message. And he's just so divisive. This guy is so divisive. But the way I look at it, as someone who is in the thick of it and someone at the same time who's an outsider, is he is playing a role. He was a reality star. So he knows ratings, right? At one point his show was very highly rated, and he had millions of people that watched the show. He knows ratings. He's a showman. And then he's smart in that. He's not smart in other ways. But let's talk honestly here, guys. He's not smart in other ways, but he is smart in some ways, and those some ways is the reason why he got elected, because he knows how to manipulate people. He wants to tell them what exactly they need to hear, which is like, yeah, that side is evil and we are superior, let's get rid of them. But if you look, and I have seen videos, because I'm fascinated by this guy, and I've seen videos where he was like, funny. Actually, he was really funny, and he was not what he projects himself to be, because he's a people pleaser. But then when he puts on that face of like, yeah, let's do this, and then he starts using talking points, that's when he's putting on a show, which makes him even more dangerous because he knows that what he's doing is divisive. He knows he is doing and saying to people riles them up and makes them angry, And that's the thing, some people like they believe him, and I don't know why they can't see through that, but that's just, I guess, that's show business, like some people are gonna like accept your show, they're just gonna eat it up. And that shows you how much of a showman he is. He's just giving the goods, and but I have a theory that the people that fall for him are the people that in their hearts are already full of bias, are already full of prejudice, they're already full of hate, and are, they're thinking like, yeah, America's being taken over by like brown people or black people or like immigrants and stuff like that. But the thing that they don't know is that that's been happening ever since. This country was founded by literally a land grab. This was not the Europeans' country. They just like, yeah, there's natives here, but we don't care. We're going to take their land. And essentially it was a land grab. And so, yeah, originally there were more influx of Europeans. The first wave were mostly Europeans. But then the country's always in a state of flux. It's always like, and now there's like, there's the African American slaves, like they were like forced against their will to live in this country. So there's another wave, and then sometime in the early 1900s, so there were like the Chinese laborers, and then other people from the East as well, like migrated too, and then Eastern European countries, the Italians came, the Germans came, Polish people came, and then there's people from Southeast Asia where I'm from, and people from the East Asia, like some Chinese, Korean, Japanese. So that's the thing. America is always in a state of flux. It's changing. And then there's the Mexicans too, which some parts of the country used to be their territory. They lost it, and then they're back. But in other ways, they're back as laborers, or they want to work here or live here. But that's the thing. It's America has always been a country founded on immigration. It's founded so the thing is, and which is what I find a little scary and a little unfair, is that the European settlers, or the European descent, or people of European descent that were part of the first wave, they're finding it hard to accept that other people from other parts of the world are coming here to work and live, And that's the scary part, because they are not accepting reality, which is America's always going to be changing. It changes every year. It changes every decade. And they want to keep America a certain color, a certain demographic, a certain if you're not European descent, don't live here, or something like that. But that's not what America is about. It's a land of immigrants, and it will always be a land of immigrants, because it was a country that started that way, by people moving from other parts of the world, moved here, lived here, settled here, and then so on and so forth. But it just so happens that maybe more people from, let's say, Southeast Asia are living here now, or moving here now, But yeah, and that is something that these people have to accept, that which has always been the reality of America, by the way. They just have to go with the program. This is it, There's nothing they can do to stop that wave. And also, you know, we have to accept that we live in a world that is diverse. Like there's like almost 4 billion that are from Asia, like the Asians represent a huge chunk of the world. And why wouldn't we choose to live in other countries, other parts outside of Asia? It is our right as well. And we pay taxes, we're here, and we deserve to be here as much as the people that came here first, and for people not to accept that, for me, that just signifies that there's a mass delusion, that they're just delusional to think that they can go against reality. This is reality, dude. People migrate for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years from one part of the planet Earth to the other part of planet Earth. That's how the natives are supposedly like part East Asian and European, mixed together, and then they moved here. And that's genetically, that's what happened, and then there's Africans, and then they also migrated, some of them by force as well, but in other countries, in other parts of the world as well. And and Asians, especially like the Chinese, they're like travelers, traders, so they mixed with the locals in Southeast Asia, and the East Asians, they like mixed together, and then they're now like distinct groups and distinct countries. But if you think about it, human beings are explorers. Human beings move around. We have legs, and and there's also like, before they said there's proof that the Vikings were in North America, but their settlement didn't really flourish, and so, and the Europeans too, like people from the Middle East, the Europeans, they're pretty close in proximity, and like they just mixed, and then just moved around. And that's how reality works. People just move. You can choose to be born. You don't have a choice as to which country you're born in, but you have a country that you can choose to live in. And that for me is why all this divisiveness, and it's like you have no right to be here, or it's like it's like, yeah, you're right and you're wrong. It's like that should have no place in the society anymore, because like and going back to politics as well, that's the thing about politics. People should try to choose better leaders that represent their needs. So if they are they feel that they don't have a voice anymore, something, like choose better leaders, but make it like inclusive for everybody. But people are so like right and left, but what really people should focus on are the policies. Are the policies good for everybody in this country, everybody involved? Is it like, does it create harmony and stuff like that? So I think in the next decade, America will really be tested, because the politics in America could be the reason why it either thrives or doesn't thrive. So we'll have to see in 10 years, because back in my country, our politics is so ugly. Like, it is literally so ugly that people would kill for their politics, which I do not agree with. Because like, politicians represent the people. They're just representatives. They are not like your gods. And also, we should focus not on parties, but on policies that work for everybody or the majority of the people. and that policies that work for people, whether what color, what race they are, or where they originally came from. It should be policies that work for, the working class, the taxpayers. And it should not be right or left, and it shouldn't be like, oh, it's the right's fault, or oh, it's the left's fault. And the people should start to choose wisely, and also people should start to accept reality as well, that things will always be changing, and just go with the program. Anyway, I hope I make sense. I'm just this is just a topic I'm very passionate about, because it's like, I'm one of those people, I try to be logical. I look at it at a logical, like non-reactive, like not emotional standpoint, because that's how we should look at life. Like, we should just look at patterns, we should look at history, we should look at, like cause and effect, and not like, oh, this is my view of reality, even if it doesn't fit the current reality. Anyway, if you have anything to discuss with me with regards to this topic, politics not included, email me at homeofgenie@gmail.com, and be kind to everybody. We're on this planet for a finite amount of time, or we're finite, I don't know how to pronounce it, like finite amount of time. We're not here long, we might as well just be good people, and just strive to be happy, and just strive to be a productive part of society, whether it be American society or whatever society you belong to. But yeah, there should no longer be room in this world for hatred. Thanks very much for listening, and that's been my show. Bye-bye.